Hey there everyone, this is Rajat. So in this video, we are going to build up on whatever we have learned about Angular reactive forms. So in today's video, we are going to learn about how can we show validations on the UI that whatever checks are failing, users can get to see those checks, and we are going to style the errors, and then we are also going to see how to create custom validators and how to cut down on the boilerplate code which we have written here using form builders. So let's start with showing up the errors on the UI. So as we discussed that as of now our form is invalid. If you haven't seen the previous video, please click on the balloon notification and watch that video first in order to get the context, and then you will have this sort of a form. So now we are concerned about showing the errors on the UI, that this particular test is failing or that particular test is failing for what field, because as of now it just says that our form is invalid. The user is not getting any sort of notification about what exactly is invalid and how to mitigate that issue. So we are going to show custom errors. So as we have seen that we have used these two validators from the Angular Forms library. The first one is the required field, which means that the value of this field should be filled, and then this is the another validator which forces the user to provide in a string which is at least 3 characters in length. Okay, so in order to show these errors, we can use something like errors array, which is available on all of the form control fields that are in any form group. Okay, how can we use that? First of all, let's create a getter for the property name. Okay, and return this dot profile dot get name. So this is how you can return the value of name form control. Okay, and we are going to use this name property in our template file. So go over here and do this div ng if name dot invalid. So this is how you can check whether there are errors on this particular form field or not. Okay, so Angular will check every single time you type in something into the form, and it runs all of these validations, and based on that it populates all of these meta fields like invalid and errors, which you can use in order to show errors. Okay, so if there are errors, we can show something custom like name is invalid. Okay, so as of now we can see that name is invalid. If we type something in, and as soon as it becomes valid as per the validators specified here, the error goes away because this thing is set to false in this particular case. Now we also might have noticed that as soon as the form is loaded, we are getting to see this error. We only want to show this error when the user has interacted with the field. How can we do that? So additionally, we have these properties name dot dirty or name dot touched. So if either of these two properties is true, we can be rest assured that the user has interacted with this particular field. So as of now I haven't interacted with the field, so I am not getting to see that error. If I interact with it, then only this particular error will be visible, and this is how you can control it. Okay, but it is showing me that the name is invalid. It is not showing me what validation actually failed, because we have got two validations on this field, right? So what validation actually failed? In order to do that, we can actually use something like name.errors array, which is available on the field, and that errors array is going to contain individual errors. Okay, how can we do it? So create one more div, again do the ng if, okay, name.errors. So this is going to be the errors array in which all the failing errors are populated by Angular framework, and then inside this you have to provide in the key. There are keys to identify which errors have actually failed, and we are going to have a quick look into it or a deep look into it when we are going to create our custom validator. Okay, so for the required thing we have the key required. Okay, so if this check fails, we can simply show name is required. Okay, so if I interact with it and delete it, then I'll get to see name is required. Additionally, if I want to show the message for the minimum length thing, I can do this name.errors.min length. Okay, and then minimum length is 3. Okay, so this is how I can specify individual errors and I can target these errors on the UI. Okay, so if I type something in, it will show me minimum length is 3. If I delete this thing, I get name is required. Okay, so validations are run synchronously and in sequence. So first of all, if this validation fails, I get to see this particular error. So this is how you can show the errors on the UI. So let's talk about the custom validators. Let's suppose you want to create a validator which is not readily available in the Angular Forms library. You want to create something custom. Let's suppose I want to verify whether the submitter or the user of my form is above certain age. I want to create a custom validator for that. So if I pass in a parameter that he should be above 18 years old, then I can do that via that custom validator. How can I create that? So again, pass in this dot age validator. So this is the validator we are going to create, and then pass in the target age. Okay, so I am expecting that the user of my form is either 20 or above. Okay, so this is what I am trying to build. So create an age validator here. Okay, so this is going to be a factory method. It returns a validator function. Okay, so return, it takes a control which is of type abstract control. Okay, so it can return either an object which contains the information about the error. Okay, so it contains a key which is going to be of type string along with the value. Okay, and this value can be anything, or null in case of there is no error and the validation actually passes. Okay, okay, so this abstract control, this control is going to be populated by the Angular framework. So we can access the value using control.value. So let's suppose I want to check if there are errors. So I want to first of all check if the value is there. If the value is there, then only I want to run the checks. Otherwise it has already passed because the user has not yet submitted anything. So basically the field is still valid because he has not interacted with it yet. So if control.value, if it is provided, then only I have to run the check. Otherwise this check will pass. If the control value, then check whether control.value is greater than or equals to age. So this will return a boolean. Okay, or simply pass false, which means that there is no error. Okay, then return errors. If there is an error, return age. Okay, so this is going to be the key as we have seen here, and here should be the value. Okay, so the value can be you are under age. Okay, so this can be the error which we are going to consume on the UI, just as we have done for the other errors. Otherwise return null, which means that there is no error. So we have got the age validator here. Okay, So let's make the form valid. So type in AAA so as to make the name property valid, and it says that the form is valid. And the age validator takes an input parameter age of type number, and it returns a validator function. So this is how you make it a factory and import this class from Angular Forms. Okay. Now it says invalid. Type in 3 characters, it becomes valid. So we have made a typo here. So basically the control.value, if it is smaller than the age specified here, then only the check should fail, right? So the control value should be smaller than the specified age, then the age validator should fail. So let's test it. Okay, it becomes valid. It becomes valid because we haven't yet interacted with this field as we have specified here. So this will only be checked and it will only fail in case we have provided in a value. So let's type in 1 and it has become invalid because 1 is clearly lesser than the age specified over here. So this is how you can create custom validators. As soon as we type in something that is either equal to 20 or greater than 20, this field will become valid. If we have cleared this field, in that particular case also it will become valid based upon the condition we have specified that it should not be failing in case there is no value in the age. So this is how you can create custom validators. I also want to show this on the UI as well, that you are underage. Okay, how can I do that? So again we are going to create a get accessor, okay, for age field. Return this dot profile dot get age. Again, this is how you can access any form control from the form group. Okay, and we are going to go back to the label for age, and here we are going to do div again ng if, and again we are going to check whether age is invalid. Okay, and in this particular case we are not going to check for dirty or touched because we have already ensured that in our code for the validator. Okay, so it is not going to run on an empty value, and then we are going to display the error. Div ng if, again we are going to check the errors array, and if we have found this particular key age, then only we are going to show the error. Okay, and then here we can show you are underage. Okay, if I do this, it shows you are underage as per this particular block of code. Okay, so this is how you can target the custom errors on the UI as well. Okay, now Angular provides you with some sort of utility CSS classes which you can use in order to style your forms in case there are errors. So there are some classes, like if I can show you quickly, these are the classes which are automatically appended to the form elements, okay, which you can use. I'm going to quickly show you how you can utilize these classes. So head over to hello component TS, and in here first of all do a little bit of prettifying. Okay, so if a form or a field is invalid, Angular appends this class ng invalid. Okay, we can use this class ng invalid. Now we can style this class as well. So we can do something like border left. Okay, then we can do this 5 pixels solid and red. So this is how we can specify that all the invalid fields should be having the left border of 5 pixels and the border should be colored as red. Okay, so this is how we can target things. If the fields are valid, in that particular case the border left should be 5 pixels solid, maybe yellow. Okay, so these are the classes that Angular appends on its own to the form fields. Now you might have noticed that there is a big red line. It is to show that the entire form is invalid. As soon as the form becomes valid, okay, that particular overarching red line will go away and it will convert into the yellow line. So this overarching red line or yellow line depicts the overall status of the form. What if we just want to target the individual field and not the form? For that particular thing, we can use something like not CSS pseudo selector. So this will exclude form. Okay, so now we will only get to see the invalid status of the individual fields instead of the overarching div or the overarching form. So this is how you can style the valid and the invalid fields. Now the next thing on the list is the form builder thing. So using form builder, you can cut down on this boilerplate code which you have written. How can we do that? So first of all, you have to include form builder from forms. Okay, then you have to create a constructor so as to inject a dependency, create a private form builder field. Okay, so this is how you can create a private form builder field. Okay, you do not really have to pass in anything. Now instead of writing all of this, we can shortcut using the syntactic sugar provided by the form builder. How can we do that? So create one more property profile. Okay, and we are going to get rid of this one once we have written this thing. Okay, so in order to create the similar thing using form builder, this is how you are going to write it. This dot fb dot grow. Okay, and the structure is going to be same. Name is going to be something like this, array, and in here you are going to provide in the validators. Okay, so validators dot required validators dot min length 3. Okay, again this is the default value as we have done here. So this is the notation you can use in form builder. Again, for age you are going to do something like this, and you are going to pass in the synchronous validators at this place. So again, this dot age validator and 20, address this dot fb dot grow, because it is going to be a nested group of form controls. Again, street is going to be empty, city is going to be empty as we are not using any custom validators for these fields, and it is going to be empty as well. And then we can either comment this code or get rid of this code, and still if we reload this thing, the end result is going to be the same, because it is just another way of creating or writing the same thing. Just the amount of code we have to write is significantly smaller in this particular form builder case. So this is just a syntactic sugar. So we have reached to the conclusion of our video about building forms using Angular forms. There are other ways like form arrays and building dynamic forms and template forms, but those things are not used pretty significantly. Reactive forms are the way to go and are something that are used most often in Angular land. So now you know how to create fully functioning forms using Angular. In the next part of the series, we are going to explore something new about the Angular 9 framework. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, and I see you guys over in the next video.